Platinum sponsors: California Building Industry Association, PG&E, and San Manuel Band of Mission Indians. Our Gold sponsor: Personal Insurance Federation of California. Our Silver sponsors: California Professional Firefighters, Fresenius Medical Care, and Republican Red. Our Bronze sponsors: Alliance Forge, Linda and Richard Alvarez, Americans for Prosperity, Californians for Financial Education, Re-elect Harmeet Dillon RNC National Committee Woman, Fox Bryant LLC, Lansing Companies, Lighthouse Worldwide Solutions Incorporated, and Votive. Our Iron sponsor: Campaign Sidekick. And finally, a big thank you to the members of our VIP convention experience.
We saw gas prices go down, which is important at the tank to Americans across the country.
What have you noticed about gas prices lately?
Going through the roof.
Prices have reached a new high for 2024.
They're on the rise once again.
Frustration at the pump.
They're always spiking.
Gas demand has increased recently, while total gas stocks have dropped.
Thanks to lower inventories of both oil and gasoline.
Average gas prices right now in Minnesota have gone up about 35 cents a gallon in the last month.
Many drivers like April Fernandez feel like they're at the mercy of the pump. According to AAA, it's the highest it's been since last November and 14 cents higher than we were a year ago.
It's very frustrating, especially with the inflation of groceries and everything. We don't need gas to get any higher.
Talked to one driver who sold his SUV and now shares his compact car with his wife.
With the economy and with the gas prices, kind of made a sacrifice.
Voters tell us what they're paying at the gas pump will definitely influence how they will vote.
We got the resources in this country. Let's use them.
Which presidential candidate is most likely to slow down rising gas prices? Trump or Biden?
Trump.
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 You think?
Absolutely.
He's done it before.
You ever think you've been paying this much for a gallon of gas?
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming RNC Co-Chair Lara Trump and CAGOP Finance Chair Howard Hakes, being escorted by our chairwoman, Jessica Milan Patterson.
Thank you. Before we begin, please continue to stand for our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. Please welcome our National Committee Woman, Harmeet Dillon, for the prayer.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Let us pray. Dear God, thank you for giving us the blessing of living in this most beautiful state in the United States and for giving us citizenship in the greatest country that you have created. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to meet together, to give counsel and break bread, and determine the next steps for our party. Dear God, as we enjoy this food, please bless this food, and please bless this meeting. But let us not forget that 5 of our fellow citizens are currently held hostage behind enemy lines and are suffering tonight. Please give them peace and give their families hope that they may be reunited with their loved ones. God, as we gather as a party to decide our next steps, please protect our candidates. Please give their advisors wisdom. Please guide the leaders of this party to make the right decisions for us to be able to reclaim this country from the leftward forces of Marxism, nihilism, and godlessness that are throughout the land. Please protect our presidential candidate, Donald Trump, and his family. Please protect all of his supporters, his campaign, our party at the national level. And please bless all of our candidates with good wisdom and discernment as we fight for the future of this country. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Harmeet. Please welcome Sean Steele to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Fellow Americans, for the last great hope of mankind and the greatest country ever on God's green earth, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Please take your seats and enjoy your dinner. We will be back with the program shortly.
新年快乐！
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our Master of Ceremonies, Howard Hakes.
Thank you so much for the honor of leading this discussion today. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our RNC Co-Chair, Lara Trump. Recently elected as co-chair of the Republican National Committee, Lara is a prominent figure in American politics, a television personality, and a dedicated advocate to her family and conservative values. Serving on both President Trump's campaign teams, Lara's strategic insights, eloquence, and ability to connect to the American people made her an invaluable asset to both campaigns. Lara continues to make her mark advocating for conservative values and champion causes close to her heart. At this time, please direct your attention to the screens.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
It's going to be only America first. America first.
Are you ready to choose freedom over democracy? For democracy. Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. 4 more years. Still got all these other things in. For that bridge, I commuted every day for 36 years as a U.S. Senator. Most significant investments in climate ever. The work that you risked your life doing lots of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome RNC.
What are you doing in California this evening? Wow. Thank you for that very warm welcome. I'll have to come back here a little more. What do we think? All right.
There we go. You're welcome to California anytime.
Thank you.
Let's start with an easy one.
Okay.
Okay. How you liking your new job as RNC co-chair, and how's it going in the RNC?
Well, how does everybody here feel like we're doing at the RNC right now? So, quick story. Had you asked me 6 months ago, would I be the co-chair of the Republican National Committee, I would have said, I don't think so. Don't feel like that's in the cards for me. And then I got a call one day, as some people probably in this room have maybe received before. Certainly anyone in my father-in-law's orbit has possibly received before. And I was told, you know what? We think that this would be a great thing for you to do. Would you consider doing this? And I said, wait a minute. This seems like a very big deal. This seems like a big job. I don't know if this is right for me right now. I don't know if I'm the right one. We don't have a long time until the most critical and crucial election in our lifetimes, right? This November. I said, let me think about it a little bit. And then about a day later, I got a call back from this same individual, Donald J. Trump. Honey, we need you. We need you there. You know, everybody wants this job. If you don't want it, though, I don't want to pressure you, but you're the only one who could do it. I'm like, oh. So I said, I will do it. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it 1,000%. So thank you. I know I have a few in this room who voted for me as the RNC co-chair. And I hope I have lived up to your expectations thus far. It's going great at the RNC. We have reviewed every contract, every vendor that was at the RNC from before Michael Whatley and I, our new chairman, came in. We did some rearranging of some staff, shall we say. And some people were not invited to come back, and that is okay. What I will say is that at this time, we have a very unique situation. I can say now, having gone through this is my 3rd presidential campaign cycle. I know I don't look a day over 15, so. We have never seen such cohesion between the campaign and the Republican National Committee. We certainly, it's true. The campaign worked alongside the RNC, and we certainly had a collaborative effort in the past 2 election cycles, but there is no daylight right now between the Trump campaign and the RNC. And the beauty of that, yeah, it's great, is that we don't have multiple people doing the same job. We have one person doing one job. We are laser focused on the goal at hand, which is ensuring Donald J. Trump becomes the 47th president of the United States. We expand that lead in the House, and California is a huge part of that. And we take back the Senate this November 5th. We have to. We have no other options. And I think it's been going very, very well. Fundraising since Michael Whatley and I were at the RNC has gone up over 100%, our fundraising. And you may have noticed we had the largest single event fundraiser in the history of politics at the end of March at John Paulson's house in Palm Beach. Joe Biden the week before needed 2 presidents and all kinds of celebrities to come out and raise $26 million. And then a week later, Donald Trump doubled it. And we love that. So it's going awesome.
For those in the room that aren't really familiar with the RNC and what they do, I mean, we have a lot of grassroots advocates to the CRP here that are here. Talk to us about the role of the RNC and what it means in a presidential race and what the goal of the RNC is.
Well, we are the apparatus that is necessary in order to win a presidential campaign. Look, the RNC, we're the party, right? And we have all over the country, we have established areas in this country. We have people all across the United States that are part of our team that we can start to mobilize. And the beauty of having the campaign and the RNC under one tent now and not separated is that that means our resources go a lot farther. We are based, of course, in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., so I do have to travel there quite often to the swamp, unfortunately. Some of you in this room may have already or may be receiving a call from me when I am up there, and it's tough to go up there. It's getting nicer this time of year, but we're going to clean that swamp out very, very soon. Yeah. But it's vital to have the support of the RNC, not just at the top of the ticket to ensure that we elect a president, but all the way down the ticket as well. We are very involved in the House races, in the Senate races, in local races all across this country, because we're going to expand this map this year, ladies and gentlemen. That map, when you look on November 5th that evening, is going to be redder than you've ever seen it before. So I want y'all to get ready. And everybody in here, channel the energy. Do you guys remember the night of November 8th, 2016? One of the most epic evenings in the history of American politics, I think we can all agree. That energy, we're going to all have to remember, and we're going to have to bring it back come November 5th, but we're not going to be waiting until 3 o'clock in the morning for a call. We're deciding it early. It's not dragging on for weeks on end. On November 5th, we will know decisively Donald Trump will be our next president of the United States.
You talked about fundraising, and the RNC and the Trump campaign have really been crushing it recently on fundraising.
Thank you.
And especially the small donor fundraising.
Yes.
What can you attribute to that? Why the small donor? What have you done differently to make that really a priority?
Well, our average donation is $29, and that speaks volumes. I think I attribute that, number one, to our candidate at the top of the ticket, Donald J. Trump. Never have we had someone so representative and in a way speaking directly to each person in this country who understands what you're going through out there on a daily basis, and who also understands how to fix it like Donald Trump does. And we know that because he did it one time already, right? We know what he can do. Obviously, at the RNC, I think people, and I hope people, have noticed that we made some changes, have heard from us in our messaging talk about the way we're going to attack this election differently this go-round. We cannot continue as a party to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. It is the definition of insanity. And so if we not just want to compete with Democrats, but if we want to beat Democrats, we have to play the game differently. We cannot all wait until Election Day to go vote. We need to get people voting early. Any way you can vote and as early as you can vote, we need you to go out and vote, and then you focus from that moment all the way up until Election Day, every single day, take somebody to vote with you. We have to embrace things like legal ballot harvesting all across this country. We're also bringing people in who I don't feel like thought they had a real safe home at the RNC, like our grassroots partners. For example, anybody ever heard of a guy named Scott Pressler? Okay, let me tell you very quickly. Scott Pressler has single-handedly registered more voters for the Republican Party in this country than any other human being alive today, no doubt about it. And he's amazing. And for whatever reason, he was never embraced by the RNC. But now we are embracing him. We are embracing every organization like his who has the same goal of winning come November 5th. So you've seen a big change. I think that change has been noticed. And I think people also, despite the abysmal Biden economy, understand what is truly at stake in this election. And they're showing that by donating to our campaign and to the RNC. If the communist tactics right now being leveled against Donald Trump are successful, make no mistake about it, we will not have the same country left on the other side of this. People understand that they need to take this country back, that we, the people, are in charge of this country, not the politicians in Washington, D.C. We want a president who is going to give us our freedoms back, give us our country back, give us back our energy independence, allow us to keep the money that we earn, not send our money overseas, keep it here in America, put this country first, close down our border, and save the United States. And I think that's why they're donating.
Since joining the RNC, you've made it election integrity a big thing.
Huge.
And here in California, it's huge. Jessica and her team have done a fabulous job of doing things. Let's give Jessica a round of applause for everything we've done in election integrity. To give our audience context, we'll soon have 4 election integrity staff members here in California. Our election integrity team, so far this cycle, has recruited 4,200 volunteers for poll observing and poll workers and hosted over 100 election integrity training sessions. During our recent primary, we received nearly 180 issue reports that we handled every one of them on Election Day or early voting. So in that context, the big picture out there, what can we expect to see from the RNC in election integrity more this year?
Well, it is our number one focus at the RNC right now, election integrity. We have 2 jobs at the RNC: get out the vote and protect the ballot. Those are the 2 initiatives. Our candidate, Donald J. Trump, gets people out to vote. He inspires like no other candidate in the history of this country. So it is our job at the RNC to ensure that when those votes come in for him, they are protected, and that no erroneous votes, no votes from people who shouldn't legally be voting in our elections are counted. So we have right now at the RNC, if you come to our offices, the bulk of the staff you will see in our building is focused solely on election integrity, because let's be honest, we can never repeat 2020 ever again. We're never going to do that. And we need to ensure free, fair, and transparent elections in the United States of America. It is integral to who we are as a country and to the future of this country. So we have a huge election integrity division. Our goal, Michael Whatley and I, the chairman, released that we have a goal by November 5th to have 100,000 volunteers on our election integrity team, and we intend to meet that goal. ProtectTheVote.com, by the way, if anybody would like to join us, sign up to be not just a poll watcher. We have a unique opportunity this year that we haven't had in 4 decades to train poll workers. These are people who actually work in the polling locations from the RNC. For 40 years, there was a consent decree on the RNC, and it did not allow us to train poll workers. Now imagine that. The RNC couldn't train, but guess who could train? The DNC. Think about 40 years of that happening. So here we are in 2024, and last year the judge who made this ruling passed away, the consent decree was lifted, and now we can train people to work in these polling locations. That is huge. Not only are they in the polling locations, they're in the tabulation centers where the mail-in ballots come in. That gives us such an advantage in terms of ensuring election integrity. We are also planning to have in every major polling location across this country attorneys rotating on a regular basis so that they aren't waiting weeks on end to address a problem. As you just pointed out, when there was a problem, you attacked it. We need people there starting the first day early voting starts all the way up to election day to ensure that if there is a problem, if there's anything they see that looks funny, nefarious, problematic in any way, they can strike at a moment's notice and they can deal with it in that moment. And exactly, it's huge. We are pulling out all the stops, and we are so laser focused on election integrity. Right now, we have 85 lawsuits all across the United States of America, and I think 23 different states right now. And we are trying to ensure that it's harder to cheat and easier to vote for every single American. We just had a big lawsuit that we won in Pennsylvania. The Democrats, of course, in an effort to make it easier to cheat, were trying to take dates off of mail-in ballots. We pushed back on that. We won. And now we can apply that precedent across the entire country so that everywhere we have mail-in ballots come in the United States, we have the dating on them. That is a huge win. So you're going to hear a lot more of that. Terrific. We're going to do everything we possibly can because, again, nothing is more important than ensuring transparency and fairness in our election process here in America.
California might not be the biggest state in the presidential race this year. I mean, like your state of New York there. But we are the #1 battleground for the House, as you sat next to Michelle Steele at dinner. How does down ballot races factor into the RNC strategy this year in the presidential race, and how big of a priority is it for you?
Huge priority. First of all, you said something, but I'm gonna push back on you a little bit. Do you know there are more registered Republicans in the state of California than any state in the United States of America? Okay?
So we're going to rock the world on November 5th and win California. Yeah.
And we sell the most campaign merchandise and raise the most money from the state of California. So thank you. The down ballot races are huge. And obviously, it's great if we get our guy Donald Trump at the top, and we are making sure that that is going to happen. But in order for him to be an effective president and to do things that are not just going to be via executive order and to make long-term lasting change, like one day of voting, paper ballots, and voter ID all across this country, which we can get back to, we have to expand our lead in the House, and we have to focus on these very tight races, and we have them all over the country, but certainly here in the great state of California. So we're very focused on that, and anywhere that we know a little extra assistance is needed, that's where we come in as the RNC. That's where we can be useful. That's where all the big fundraising numbers that we are posting up will come in the clutch, and we intend to be there for everybody as needed.
We have 4 offices open here in California. I mean, and Sean and Harmeet and Jessica have done a great job to work with the RNC. We had none before they were really involved, and we'd like to have a couple more. But it is
we'll
just
see
a
what
huge,
we can do.
Yeah, it's a huge deal to get that done, especially like in Michelle's district. What they do in that office makes such a difference. Yeah.
Well, we love to hear that, and that's exactly why we have them there. And again, when we see success and we know that things are working and we are seeing people come out and participate in our electoral process and get involved in politics, we want to see more of that. We want more wins on the red team, and so you can look out for more, for sure.
Let's go to the Sunday dinner table, the Trump dinner table. And
how
does President Trump think the race is going?
Well, He seems pretty happy with things so far. Did you guys hear that we're expanding the map to Minnesota and Virginia as well? And we have a couple other states we're keeping our eye on. I won't say them just yet, but this is California. Who knows, folks, right? This is, I think we're poised to see and I'll knock on some wood, a landslide election this year. Here's what I'll tell you. People in this country are smart enough to know when something isn't working. They're smart enough to know when they have been lied to and when they have had their votes taken for granted. And so many people across this country are feeling that way. You don't just have to look at the national polls. Look at demographics that the Democrats have traditionally counted on and needed in order to win. 2020, Donald Trump got 8% of the black vote. Right now, he is polling at 23% with black voters. With young voters, a demographic the Democrats, of course, think they own because of Hollywood and the music industry, social media. If the election were held today and it were only 18 to 24-year-olds voting, Donald Trump would win the election, okay? Same thing goes for Hispanic voters. Right now, head-to-head matchup with Joe Biden. Joe Biden gets 40% of the Hispanic vote. Donald Trump is polling at 46%. And we are seeing that trend continue in our direction. So now is the time, now is the year, and now is the opportunity we have as a party, not just to look at this election and say, yeah, let's get everybody, we can, of course, to come out and vote because it is so vital and so important, but now is an opportunity we have to expand the base of this party, to expand our tent, to bring people in who are going to vote not just in 2024, but in 26, in 28, and in elections beyond. We have a huge opportunity, and that is also a goal of ours right now at the RNC, to expand this tent for future elections. So to answer your question, he feels great about things in the election right now. We're feeling good.
And I think what you just said is so important and what we've done here in California, because we've expanded the base in all of those groups, and every group we've really worked hard, Jessica and her team and the party, to expand the base in every little group. If we can get an extra couple percent anywhere, it just helps, especially the size of we have in California here. So it's really
well, great job on that, guys. Keep it up out here. We love that.
You've been such a fierce public advocate and surrogate for President Trump for years. What has changed for you since taking such a public role?
Well, people on social media are very nice to me. I'm just kidding. They're terrible. Here's what I learned. Here's what I learned a long time ago. You know, they didn't give us a handbook for how to do this, right? Whenever my father-in-law decided to run for president, we all sat down. You guys maybe have heard this story. We all sat down for his birthday dinner because probably publicly known fact, the most appropriate birthday for Donald Trump, Flag Day, June 14th is his birthday, right? It doesn't get better than that. It was like it was meant to be, right? And we all know in this room it truly was meant to be because he was made for such a time as this. I think we all know that. But in leading up to his announcement that he was going to run for president, we all sat down at a dinner table together a couple days before he announced for his birthday dinner, and that is when we learned officially that he was going to do it. He was really going to run for president. I think my brother-in-law, Don, is always like, I don't know, I even thought it was 50-50 the day of. But truly, he came down that golden escalator, and the world has never been the same, right? It's true. And for all of us in the Trump family, we were all like, he said to all of us that night at dinner, he said, listen, this isn't just about me. This is about all of us. Because if I do what is needed, and if we do what we need to do to turn this country around, they're going to come after us. And they're not just going to come after me. They're going to come after every one of us at this table. And I need to know you guys understand what that means and what's in store. And we were all like, yeah, sounds great. How bad could it get? What could they possibly do? Little did we know. So they didn't give us a handbook for exactly how to do any of this. That said, I learned very quickly and very early on that if you read the comments on an article written about you, you'll never sleep at night. If you actually take seriously the opinion of these bots and the garbage they write under like a photo of your child on Instagram, this sick, twisted stuff, you will also never sleep at night. And so we all grew a very thick skin. And I say this all the time, but in so many ways, all that they have put our family and truly my father-in-law through, I think prepared all of us, and especially him, for this moment we are in right now. Man, it's like, right? It's almost like they trained a bunch of athletes to go out and like really kill it in some kind of a race. And here we are. It's game day. We're ready to go. For me, though, clearly this job requires a lot of travel. I'm here in California this evening with all of you fine Californians, all you beautiful people. Thank you for having me. But I have 2 young kids. They're 4 and 6 years old, and it is hard. It's very hard to leave them. But if I'm being honest, I'm not doing this for me. And I love you all, but I'm doing this for my kids and for our future generations of Americans. So that has been truly, I think, the biggest change. They're always going to come after me. They're always going to come after anyone with the last name Trump. We all know that, but we know who we are, and we know the people who ultimately matter are the people who truly know us. And I'm sure one day my kids will look back on this and be very proud of what their mom did. So that's the goal.
It's your 3rd time on the campaign trail.
Shocking, I know.
And you're out there, you're talking to people, you're hearing what they're saying. What's different today than maybe in 16 or 20? What's the biggest important thing that the people are saying out there that this is why I'll vote for Donald J. Trump this time, if they didn't vote for him before?
So I actually met a guy on the plane on the way out here today who told me that he did not in 2016 vote for Donald Trump. He said, I didn't like his personality. It felt like a little too much for me. I didn't vote for him in 2016, but I voted for him in 2020, and I'll tell you why. Because he kept every promise that he made. And that's unusual. I think this time around, the difference is that this country has gone in the wrong direction so quickly that I don't think most people ever anticipated things would get as bad as they have gotten in such a rapid fashion. I mean, look, we all knew Joe Biden wasn't going to be good. But did we truly think that we would be on the verge of World War III? Did we truly think that we would still have sky-high inflation, that people would be having to make really tough decisions in life? Do you know, I'm a huge animal rescue person, and I have done animal rescue for many, many years. The euthanization rate of animals in shelters is at an all-time high. It is 4 times higher right now than it has ever been because people have to make decisions about how they are going to afford their lives. And ultimately, when they have to decide, do I feed my children or do we keep our family pet? They decide to feed their children, and that family pet goes to an animal shelter, and because they are overrun, they don't have enough room, these animals are being euthanized. Those type of decisions have weighed very heavily on the people of this country. When they see that it seems like the goal is the destruction of America, instead of helping America continue to be the leader of the free world, continue to have our spot on that world stage, they say something is wrong here. And it is palpable right now. Everywhere you go in this country, we need change, and they know who brought that change, and they know who can do it again. It's Donald J. Trump.
A couple days ago, President Trump and President Biden both agreed on 2 debates. One a month ago, one next month. What can you tell us about that? Are the rules, are they out there yet or anything? Or what do you know about the debates that you can give us some inside scoop on?
Well, Donald Trump said anytime, anywhere, any place, and he meant it, right? I actually don't know that the Biden team expected the response they got in like an hour from Donald Trump, right? They thought, well, here we'll put all of these regulations on how the debates are going to be conducted. We'll say the day, and we'll say the moderators, and we'll say that it's only going to be 30-second answers, and all the microphones are going to be cut when you're not the one speaking. And we know the Trump team will come back and say, wait a minute. And Donald Trump said, I'll be there. If you can find your way to the podium, Joe, I think is what he said, actually. Well, what we've said from the RNC is we want more debates. So, yes, we're going to do the June debate. Yeah, he'll be there in September if they let Joe Biden back up on a debate stage, which is highly questionable after that first debate. Because do y'all have your popcorn ready? That is a get your popcorn ready debate, because I can't wait to see Joe Biden try to make it up on stage just to stand up there for like the 90 minutes or however long it's going to be. But then to defend his record, to put together coherent sentences without a teleprompter, without the note cards, right? I mean, we know they're going to have him on something. We know. But we also said we want debates in July and in August. We agreed to the Fox News debate in October. Let's have one debate every month leading up to Election Day, because the people of this country deserve to see these two candidates up on a stage. They deserve to see what Joe Biden has to say on his record. Why is it that we still have inflation so high? Why is it that you don't actually secure the southern border? Why has he done so many things that have taken this country in the wrong direction? And so he needs to answer those questions, and we intend to get those answers. We haven't fully decided exactly how we are going to push back on any of the things they've said. I know Donald Trump said, I'll be there and I'll show up, but we want a fair debate. Let's be honest. Does anybody in this room think Jake Tapper is going to be a fair moderator? No. So we would like to see some fair moderators. We would like the ability to respond to some of the things that I'm sure Joe Biden's going to lie about. Remember the most epic debate of all time when Hillary Clinton said, it's a good thing you're not in charge of the law in this country, and Donald Trump said, because you'd be in jail. Remember that? We need more of those moments, and we're going to seek them out. So anything we can do in order to make those happen and make sure it's a fair debate, ultimately we will do.
Hey, we've asked a lot of serious questions tonight. You do a show called Wanted for Questioning.
Yeah.
Where you let viewers submit questions to you, and we thought we'd try our own and see. We'll end with some fun questions.
I love it.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Here we go. What's your first concert you ever went to?
First concert I ever went to was a Mariah Carey concert, and it was in Raleigh-Durham. I grew up in North Carolina. It was at some Raleigh-Durham arena, and I remember my parents were very nervous about letting me go to that, but it seems like it turned out okay because I survived that one. Mariah Carey.
What does a perfect meal consist of for you?
Oh, I'm sort of boring, and everyone who eats with me on a regular basis knows that if you give me a nice blackened salmon, which I feel like they knew here very well. You guys knew exactly what I was going to eat here tonight somehow. A nice blackened salmon as my entree. The accoutrements around that, I'll let you decide. But I do always have to finish every meal with a chocolate dessert, which you also
We gave that
offered
to
me
you, perfect.
this evening. So somehow here at the California GOP, you guys knew what was happening with me. I don't know if you got some inside information, but perfect.
One person, living or dead, you'd like to have dinner with?
I think one of the most fascinating figures in the history of the world is Queen Elizabeth I, right? I mean, this lady wasn't playing around. They told her she couldn't do it, that a woman could not actually rule a country, and she went on to rule for decades. And I think her subjects at the time saw her as one of the best monarchs, if not the best monarch in the history of the UK. And I have always thought that it would be very cool to sit down and ask her a lot of questions. And to be honest with you, I'd like to try on some of those outfits as well, because that seems like a fun time. I would like it.
What's your most used emoji?
Probably the laughing emoji, because sometimes if you don't laugh, you'll cry these days. I use the laughing emoji a lot. And I like a heart emoji. I'm a softie at heart. You know, my husband will say I have a tough exterior, but once you get in there, it's good. It's nice inside.
What's your favorite place to vacation, and what's a place you've never been or are dying to go to?
Well, my favorite place to vacation, I mean, when you take a person who grew up in I would say my most perfect place in the world, Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. Away from that, when I get a chance to go home, and that is truly home for me, the southeast coast of North Carolina, that is my favorite place to go. Just to take in the smells, the sounds. It just really is the best of the best for me. Somewhere I've never been, I'll tell you a quick story. Some people may know this story about me. 3 weeks before my wedding day to Eric, I broke both of my wrists riding a horse, because of course I would, because I do really crazy stuff. And that was very disappointing and devastating, and I gave myself a 12-hour pity party, and then I said, I still get to marry my best friend, the love of my life. I'm going to move on with this. Walk down the aisle without casts, but then had to put casts on for the rest of the wedding. True story. Some very nice, like, early 90s, late 80s fingerless gloves situation that I wore to cover the casts. And we were supposed to go on a safari to Africa, a horseback safari, because again, I'm apparently very crazy. And we had to cancel that trip. And I have not ever been to Africa, and I would like to go at some point and redo the honeymoon that Eric and I never got to go on. It is our 10-year wedding anniversary on, of all days, you guys know my anniversary is on Election Day from 2016, November 8th. That was our 2-year wedding anniversary. So it was either going to be a really good one or really bad, and it turned out to be a pretty good one. So I'm sure Eric Trump has already got it in the bag and planned for the 10-year wedding anniversary. I'm just kidding. If y'all know, give him a call, because he could use some help.
Hey. I'm going to go off script with the last question here, but I'm just curious. We had Sean and Harmeet talk today at our general session about what everybody can do to help and everything, but from their boss, what can the grassroots here of the California Republican Party do? What can everybody do to help the cause to make sure Donald J. Trump is the President of the United States on November 5th?
Well, we got to do it. It's a must-win election, right? We're not going to have the same country left on the other side. And first of all, the grassroots, this is the most vital part, I think, of our entire party. And I just want to first of all say thank you to everyone here for everything that you already do. Thank you for believing in my father-in-law. Thank you for fighting for this country. We are in this fight alongside of you, and try though they might to stop us, we will never stop. Donald Trump will never stop. He will never give up. He will continue fighting. I would just say, let's have that spirit as we head into this election season now, because it's not a day anymore, this election season. I mentioned taking people to go vote. If you know somebody who needs to get a little inspired to get out and vote, and they say, I don't know if my vote's gonna count this time, or, we live in California, what does it matter? Every vote matters. It is our duty as American citizens to do it. And we can never forget that. We live in the greatest country on earth, and we are so blessed to live here. But no one said that we get to keep this free, beautiful country without fighting for it. And now is our time to fight. This is the year, this is the time, this is when we take this country back, but it will require every single one of us in this room. It will require patriots across this country. Inspire them to go vote. If they say, I don't know, I don't like Donald Trump's personality, say, if you were going to hire somebody for a job and you had a person you knew was going to be exceptional at that job, but maybe you didn't like their personality, I don't know, maybe you didn't want to hang out with them or go out after work with them. And then you had another person who was maybe, I don't even want to say great to be around, fell asleep a lot, but kind of very, very calm, very subdued, but was going to be terrible at that job. Who would you choose for that job? You would choose the person who would get the job done. Go out and vote for that guy. It's Donald J. Trump. It'll take all of us to do it. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Laura. Ladies and gentlemen, Lara Trump.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Let's go win this thing. We've got to, right?
Keep it going for Lara Trump and Howard Hakes. All right, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. We will see you tomorrow, bright and early. Doors open up at 7:30 a.m. Remember, we are the Republican Party. We require your ID to vote. Bring your IDs with you. General session starts at 9 a.m. Good night.